You're listening to Business Talk Radio, where we take business to the next level.
Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn connects you with experts from all over the world to help you take charge of your career, your business, and your life. Rap along with us. Visit drjacalyn.com to learn how to become a guest or a sponsor. And now, the doctor is in.
Hello, everyone. Happy Friday, happy weekend, and welcome to USA Global TV. I am Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck, and this show is presenting Pet Psychic Aminah. And she is the founder of Bridging Worlds, Love, Understanding, and Resolutions for Animals with People. Let's bring Aminah out right now. Welcome.
Hi. I found that picture we were talking about, but I'm already here.
Okay. Very good. Very good. Well, I want to put this back up again and have you talk us through what we're seeing here, because a lot of cool images.
Yeah. So the little puppy is actually my grandbaby. He is a therapy dog. So he is one of the only purebreds that our family has actually bought. All of ours are rescues, but this one, my daughter is a therapist, and she wanted to make sure, of course, she was raised by me, so she sees the benefit of animals in people's lives. And so she has him being trained, so she got him as a puppy. His fur is hypoallergenic. So there's, when people are allergic to pet's dander and that type of stuff, he is about 90 proof that you're not going to have a reaction. What is also great is a Bichon Frise, his breed, and they're very calm, they're very sociable, they're very snuggly, they're very committed to their people and the people that they introduce. So you can see he's pretty small, so he's not obtrusive, and her clients get to choose, have him in the room, not have him in the room, whatever's their comfort zone. But what we find, and I'm sure, Dr. Jacalyn, you found this when you had dogs, is just petting an animal just changes all your energy. It's just so calming and so centering because they don't judge. They don't want to know what kind of job you have, what kind of money you're bringing in. They will starve with you. They will be homeless with you. They will be in joy with you. They are really, really amazing. Animals are that way.
It looks like a cutie.
He is. His name is Sebastian, and we absolutely love him. And I took that picture. He's actually standing at my feet, hoping I will throw. And we were actually staying in an Airbnb in New York. And so that was, my daughter and I love to travel. So that was our last trip together. She is currently stuck in Spain with the pandemic and has just garnered amazing family there. But he is with her. She does travel with him. He is licensed to travel, and she needs him to have that experience of just being really flexible and easygoing. It is his breed, but it's also good to train. So she expected to only be there for, in Europe for a year. This is now 2.5.
Aw, that's gotta be hard.
Adorable. Yeah, he brought me that lovely crushed tennis ball, and in a condo, it's not far to throw, so it's mostly rolling. But yes, we were in New York. It's a great memory for me because look at that picture I got. I just bent over with our phones or cameras, and I got this great shot of him.
That is great. It's excellent. And how about on the other side, the right side? Mindset is everything.
So I really this is a picture in my home because I love it so much. And it's really, really just a simple poster that I had framed. And so mindset is everything. So this is really talking about manifestation, because you can see the tiger in the water. And this is a tiny little kitten. So it's your perception. And I always want to keep that clear when us business owners are like, oh my God, my business is tanked and it's terrible and it's all that. And I'm not saying don't have that moment of just get it all the toxic out. We all have bad days. You just got to have the mopey moment, I think. But make it a moment and then change your mindset and say, okay, This is my challenge. This is my growth. This is where we're going. And for me, of course, an animal person, I'm looking at that tiny kitty who's just all love, ball of fun. Nothing bad happens. Even if you pull my tail, I might squeak, but I'm going to go back and have a thing. You truly are the tiger of your life. And if you can't see it, and it would be silly to have a cat look at a mirror. They do understand mirrors, except for they think it's a strange cat. Pigs don't. That's a whole nother story. Pigs know it's themselves. So there's a whole nother intelligence there. But looking at this reflection and saying, no, I'm the tiger. I'm the big bad tiger. And they're really easygoing, but they have teeth and nails. So you can make a difference in your life. And that's what I want to really instill in everybody. You can be puppy with a tennis ball and have a great life and make people feel better if that's your what you want to do. And you can also be the tiger in your life.
Fantastic.
And can you tell them a little bit about rescues in the middle?
Yes, definitely. So I wanted to have you describe what's in the middle. Pet questions.
Yeah. Yes. We're just so plethora of things on the internet, and this is something that I have had for some time, and it's that open heart. And talking about rescues, we in the animal industry, when pandemic started, we knew everybody was going to the shelters and just clearing them out. But what the shelters and all of us knew is they would be back. People don't realize and don't quantify that these are our lives. Hopefully you're not going around and having lots of children and just because you're bored. Not that people don't do that. It happens. Everybody does all kinds of crazy things. I buy too many plants and they still need to be taken care of. But lives matter, and rescuing is such a big deal, but it needs to be a lifetime commitment. Things happen. I get it. We move, we lose a job and that kind of stuff, but have a plan. Have a plan that this child, furry and all, is going to have a life with you for the next, whatever, 15 or 20 years, depending on what animal you get. People get horses, people get, pigs, people get all kinds of very unique things for pets. It's no longer just dogs and cats. But what happens is these animals go back to the shelter and they do experience trauma. They do experience depression and all of that type of stuff. So we need to make commitments for a lifetime. And there's so many animals that need homes. So please don't go to the breeders. I will use Sebastian as an example. He is a purebred and she needed that for work, but he has had more health problems than all of our animals put together. And I'm talking about 10 or 15 animals. Breeders tend to over design. He's supposed to be hypoallergenic and he's supposed to not have dander and all this kind of stuff. And that's great. But then if you look at American Shepherds compared to Germany Shepherds, they have a serious slant because Americans like that and they go to shows. But the problem is if you're walking with a slant, your hips are crap. And Shepherds already have a proclivity for dysplasia in their hips. But if you're going to slant and you're going to walk like that all the time, it's like us hunching over, like, this can't be good for our spinal cord. Ask any doctor. So what we're doing with designer breeds, and that's why pet stores no longer allowed to carry animals, because their life was very tragic. They were kept in horrible cages and their mothers were having litter after litter after litter. And you want to have a loving pet in your home? Well, they need to come from a loving environment, or at least go to a loving home that can help them through that. So purebred is not necessarily better. It's just another choice. And everybody needs to make a different choice. The purebred shepherd I had, I rescued from a backyard. We were buying the house and they left a 16-foot septic tank hole, which was 8 feet wide, 16 feet deep. And he was in the yard by himself. Mm-hmm. He was just 2. So he had no business, and he was left alone. So they'd come and give water once in a while in a metal dish in 90-degree weather.
Oh my gosh.
So, yeah, it just, we need to realize we're dealing with lives and that kind of stuff. So there's the combination. But please go to your shelters. Even if you can't adopt, they desperately need food, volunteers, people helping cleaning, petting the animals, making sure they're socialized, all of that type of stuff really needs to be done. And even now with the pandemic, I'm sure they've put in place or ways to do that, or calling people or putting on fundraisers.
A question I have for you. Oh, I hear myself twice. Anyway, a question I have. Okay, good. Is where people can purchase dogs. So it used to be, like, to your point, you could go into one of these big retail places and you could get a pet there, or you could go into a mall and they had little pet shops there. So the best choice, I would think, is rescue. But if you're not, how do you go about getting a dog?
Well, I personally have never done it. I watched my daughter do it, of course, and they advertise in from what I know. I'm coming fifth hand here. So as my other kids would say, Google it, find a pet, and that, because I would put your state or city and state and that type of stuff there. So breeders have Facebook pages. They have social media. They do, I'm sure they do YouTube. I'm sure they're doing live, all that, especially right now. If I was going to go buy a puppy, I'd want to see mom and dad and all of that kind of stuff. And they can do that easily on the digital platforms and that type of stuff. So TikTok, all of these places I've seen, what little I am on those, that they have these means to do that. But again, think 100 times over why you feel that a purebred is better, because I've had two, one grandson and one my own, and both were medical train wrecks. But all the animals I got from the shelter, which I'm going up to about 10 over our lifetime, and they were the healthiest, well-balanced, loving animals. Our orange tabby I got when the girls were little. And this cat would sit under our shepherd. He loved all animals. So I have the best story. So we went to a lot of walkathons for the shelters. So we took our shepherd to go on a walkathon to raise money for one of the shepherds. So one of my youngest daughter only had a bunny at the time. At one point, our entire family room was a zoo. Pigs, bunnies, parrot. I think we had a rat from a science project and it died. We didn't know it until the cat told us because it was buried into the saw. We rescued that one. I mean, it was just, it was an old fashioned house. So it had a family room, living room. Anyways, off subject. But so let's see, what were we talking about?
So we were talking about whether or not, where you could purchase animals, pets, and you were talking about breeders and fifth-hand information from your daughter.
And yeah, go to all those websites, but go to the shelters. They do have purebreds. Go to the shelters and talk to them, and that's where my shepherd would have ended up if I hadn't been buying the woman's house where she dumped it. And I said, hey, I'm going to turn you in. Well, why don't you take it home? And I'm thinking, I got a 3 and a 1-year-old. I want a shepherd too. Oh, I'm bored. So it worked out really well. But my youngest daughter had a bunny. She didn't have a dog. So she wanted to bring the bunny to the walkathon. I said, okay, that's fine. We have a harness. He can hop away. You're going to have to carry it half the way. He's not going to be able to walk the whole way. So it was really funny. There's dogs everywhere. Everybody bought dogs on a walkathon. Strange, huh? So we're in this field sitting to the announcement, and they're talking about what we're going to do. And we're all going to go on this walkathon. And there's like 90 dogs, big ones, little ones, small ones, everything. And here's the bunny. Carnivore. Ooh, lunch. Because we did minis. We did mini bunnies. So this was a dwarf. And so our shepherd stood up and shaded the bunny, and because he's been with the bunny for a long time. And the bunny sat under him. And every time one of the dogs looked his way, he went. And he was like this. He didn't growl. He just gave the body language of, you touch my bunny, things are going to happen. And our shepherd, of course, was bigger than most of the other dogs. And everybody's like, that's so weird. And we'd let the bunny hop with us for a while and then pick him up. And yes, we do the strange things. They have a strange mother.
No, it sounds quite interesting. It really does.
Well, it's experience.
we have to take a break. I'm going to play a clip that involves horses. We played this week on Celebrate Great Britain Royally Rich show. And so, as you know, the British monarchy, they have a number of horses that are in their regalia, I guess, and they have very precise movements. And so this clip is the horses still in precision, but not with all of their regalia on. And my question for you is, because I've interviewed people, nothing to do with this clip, but I've interviewed people over time who have very strong opinions about riding horses. And
I'd love to hear that one.
Yeah, so it just occurs to me, I'd like to play this while you're here and get your feedback. All right?
Great.
All right, let's take a look at this. We'll be right back. And by the way, this takes place on a very famous beach where apparently a lot of films and movies have been shot over the years.
Wow.
Holcomb Beach. Here we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, here it is, the most listened to radio show on the planet. Even the other stations are tuned in too.
You're listening to Business Talk Radio, where we take business to the next level.
Hello and welcome back to USA Global TV. We are here with Pet Psychic Aminah. We just watched a clip. What did you think of it?
Oh, was that most majestic? For me, it's just ooh and ahhing. I had my own horse. I've ridden since I was very, very young. Saved all my babysitting money. And that's how we afforded it. But had our own horse for years, and just this is joy. And what I'm looking at, of course, is what are the animals saying and doing. If you have even a sliver of understanding of their facial expression, it's pure joy and love, and they love what they're doing. They love the choreography because what they're doing it as a herd. This is a herd animal, and they're in their element, working together, understanding where each of their bodies are and how they trot and how they work. And the people are kind of like bonuses. Because all of those kids that were probably adults that were on them were very loving. Their seat, how they sat was very gentle. Very, there weren't any spurs. There was no corporal punishment for doing anything. This was a symphony. It was just beautiful.
Wow, that's a great review. Thank you.
Well, I'm an animal person, so I'm looking at and I look at it opposite. I'm looking at the animals first, and then seeing what the people are doing in conjunction to it. But they're fostering it. You will get so much better behavior from your animals, all of them, if you come from a place of love. If you're using corporal punishment, then expect them to act like prisoners at some point and want to break loose. And I've met somebody whose cat just walked away, said, I'm out of here. I can do this myself. I'm not doing this anymore. They just were apathetic about the whole thing of having a pet. And it is a living, breathing entity. And it has a right to, if you've taken on the responsibility, it has a right to have a good life. And if you can't do that, then do make a different choice.
Well said. Well said. So I want to bring up, I told you I've interviewed people over the last couple of years, I guess, about horses specifically because they're very involved with horses. They have horses and they use them to help people heal. And so you can come and you can touch the horse, but there's no horseback riding, and they're vehemently against it, that horses were not meant for people to be on them. So what are your thoughts about that? You just gave an overview of what you saw in that video, and I actually am going to watch it again because I love what you said. I'm going to look at it with new eyes. So what are your thoughts about this? Do horses welcome being ridden? If there's not corporal punishment, or would they rather be in the herd without the humans bothering them?
I think it should be a symbiotic relationship. If there is give and take on both sides, and what I saw with the riders we just saw, there's true compassion and passion for working with horses. And I honor deeply what you said about this organization and having people who come and work with them understand, because I think it's balance. If you go and talk to somebody who's very adamant that we stay on the ground, and you love them from the distance, you pet them and feed them and walk them and clean their feet and brush their tail, for goodness sakes. Have you seen the tail? It goes on forever, and it's very wiry. So I think there should be something for everybody's moral compass, and because it's all good. It's all good. What they're doing is their moral compass, and it's their belief, and I honor that because it has its place, and they're teaching compassion without dominance. When we say we break a horse, in olden days, I hope nobody still does this. They do, but I'm going to live in this fantasy that they don't. That breaking a horse was truly breaking their spirit. It was breaking in, especially if you're going to go with the lead mare or you're going to go with the stallion, you're going to break their spirit. That's why a lot of times you're dealing with geldings, which means it's a male, but they've been clipped. So it takes that high energy out, and you would literally be killed. One of them, they're so powerful, and their feet are very powerful. I've been stepped on. I know, not kicked, never kicked, but I've been stepped on. So they are a herd mentality. So they're used to having the dynamic of leader, follower, middle, and, like a dog pack. I talk about that a lot when I'm trying to teach somebody something about how to live with a dog. You got to be the pack leader. Otherwise, your dog's going to run all over you and tell you what to do and drag all his food all over and poop on the floor. So that's not how that goes. A horse is a little bit different because of the way they live, and they are living outside. So having a leader is not harmful as long as that leader is just, fair, and provides food and safety in the herd. What you showed me in that clip, just what I got to enjoy, is a group of horses that obviously work together very well. And that means those riders probably work together. And they didn't just go out to the ocean one day and say, hey, let's go some frolicking in the waves. No, that takes energy. And for a horse, when they first get to the ocean, it can be very confusing. All of a sudden the water comes in and crashes and then goes away. And then it crashes and they're like, what the heck is this? There's no dependency here. I don't know. Because it doesn't come exactly at the same time. And there's foam and the waves bash into you. So to get the horses trained to be calm in that environment is a great testament to the trainer and the person riding, because they have to be confident to do that. If a horse is confident in you and they can feel everything in your legs, your back, your arms, your legs, you get uptight, they're going to know, because we do tighten up, we relax. So I think there's a place for all of these types of owners and commitments to animals, because that makes our world more balanced and well-rounded, that there's not just one way to do it.
Thank you for sharing that. And we hadn't planned on discussing horses, but now that we are, I signed up a few years ago. I want to say maybe 5 years ago, I signed up to take riding lessons. And I think I paid for 8 or 10 lessons. And I remember the first time I went, I was terrified. And I knew the horse could tell I was terrified. Yeah. And I couldn't believe how beautiful they were, because I never was that close to a horse before. And the eye, it's just like unbelievable. And so I learned how to, I don't know what it's called. You take the brush, groom, thank you, groom. And so I got up on the horse, and I think the first time I just sat there. And then the second time I came back and I went for a little
around the ring. Yeah.
And I was in awe, but I was also terrified, and I knew the horse could tell, and I was tense the whole time. And I thought, this isn't fair to this horse, because I'm not, so I never went back. I didn't go back. I didn't have any more lessons, but I still feel like they're such beautiful creatures and so regal, and that I didn't have what it took to even sit on the horse, if you know what I mean, because I was
But that's true for everybody. Don't be too hard on yourself, because I don't think dogs are for everybody. I don't think cats are for everybody. Maybe hamster's better for you. And for some people, hamsters just keep dying because you don't pay attention to them. Maybe it's a guinea pig. There are so many things God-given. I mean, maybe you love bugs. I know people who love bugs. There's a gentleman, young man. He's younger than me.
He's 110.
And he's on LinkedIn with me, and I absolutely follow his page religiously because he's into bugs. I love it. He's into bugs. And he's doing science, and he works with Nat Geo and all this wonderful stuff. And of course, I'm not buggish. Is there an anti-bug statement? Racist against bugs? No, I'm the one who scoops up the spider and walks him out of the house and say, dude, you know what? Over on my head, over the kitchen, not a good place. Just hang out somewhere else. But they're so necessary. One of my jobs, it was semi-outdoors. My office was a building that was in a really rural place. And I always had a black widow spider there. And I've had these all my life. I was 9 months pregnant when I found one under my knee on the bench I was sitting on. I was like, dude, you bite me now, you will die, because I'm a little too far along for this nonsense. But I've never been bitten. And I have held them, and I have pictures, and I should show you a tarantula sitting on my shoulder at a educational thing. And I love it because it freaks all my family out.
I've seen that picture. Yes, it's freaking me out too. I've definitely seen it. It's funny. I've thought of you so many times. In addition, yesterday, when I went it wasn't yesterday, it was 2 days before that. I went for a walk. And when I go for a walk, I always have on long sleeves because I don't want any sun. I have a headband with a big hat and sunglasses. I look ridiculous.
In disguise.
Yes, people are like, what's up with that? Anyway, this bee was flying around me, and I kept thinking of you, and I was thinking, we can't do anything to the bees. We can't kill the bees. Don't swat the bee. Don't do anything.
She's fine. You don't have any flowers. And it could be your perfume. It can be the perfume in your lotion.
I didn't wear any perfume on purpose because I remember what you said. So I was walking by this man. I don't even know this guy. He had a beach chair, and he said, there's a bee around you, and it's actually, it's on your back now. And I thought, what would Aminah do? What would Aminah do? So I just kept walking slowly, and finally, but normally I would have been freaking out and swatting. I just kept going. So,
and she wanted to rest, and she found you the safest place in that area. And you should take the compliment that it was, because what you're describing is a bee that was desperately, because they can go out 5 miles, but I don't know about those little wings. They look like they need a rest once in a while. And can you imagine being the one who's chosen to sit and rest because you're the safest thing in the entire place, because that guy would have killed her or swatted her away, and 100 other people would have done the same thing because they have this fear, this teeny little stinger. Sadly, I've been stung lots working with honeybees. And every time I'm like, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry. I was rushing to get it into the fair with my kids' project, and I had to get a thing of honey out, and I was like, don't go so fast. Anyways, that was tragic. But just think about it in a new way. She chose you.
You know what? I like that.
This and I'm not making it up. I'm not, conjuring it from the earth. I'm just saying this is the fact. You were the safest, closest thing because there were no trees. You said a beach. There's no trees, and to go off to whatever IV was probably hundreds of feet away if you were walking through the water or they're close to it. She can't drink the water, so she's not going to go down to the water, and it's too dangerous because it's too fast. But she needed a rest.
All right, there was. I provided a rest. And I have a question for you. I'm going to reach over and get my picture, which I've shown you before. But my question is like thinking about animals and how they feel. And I've showed this before, but these were my girls. This is Eiffel, this is Star, and this is Ritzy. And these two, Ritzy and Star, they were Coton de Touliers, and Eiffel was a little Maltese. Oh. And this is them, they were posed obviously for this picture. Yeah. But so my question for you is about grooming. And this is the question. I found that my dogs did not like being groomed. And there was one point in time when it was a lot of money, and I started doing it myself. At this time, I was taking my dogs to daycare when I was going to work, and then the woman also was a groomer. Mm. So at some point, I started grooming them, not myself. I am grooming myself.
You look like you groomed yourself today.
Thank you. And they did not like it. But the thing is this, Star, the one in the middle, mm-hmm. she really thought she was stunning. I mean, and she liked looking a certain way. But when I would groom her, she would try to bite me because I wasn't doing such a great job. So my question is, do dogs like being groomed, or is it sort of just like it's
the same thing as you and I. If you have a bad experience early on, you're going to shy away from it for the rest of your life. And then you have to do the work to get over that issue. Sadly, no matter how trained you are, groomers do make mistakes. Hairdressers make mistakes. We over-tweeze something. And
so many times, bleeding.
Yeah, or we buy clothes that you're like, really? You think that's a good idea? My kids have said that. How did you get let out of the house in that? I was like, yeah.
What were you thinking when you bought that?
And they're like, no. So everything's like that. When an animal gets a groomer that is negative energy or is callous, rushed, and you can be rushed and not have negative energy. It's two different things. But when they get clipped, you and I both know they're in for an infection. Did they clean the clippers? It's the same thing when you go to a hairstylist. If they didn't clean the clippers, if they didn't clean the bull's hair, I had a license in cosmetology, so I actually know what I'm talking about. Wow. If you didn't protect their clothes and they're soaked halfway down, none of this is a happy, fun experience. I used to pierce people's ears, and a big, huge thing I hated was you go to the mall and they put the gun right here and shoot the earring in. Do you see where my earring's going to point? Here.
Exactly.
Not with my face. The earrings you're wearing are lovely. They go this way. Everybody looks at your face. And I was like, you want to see my earrings? It's like the biggest pet peeve in my life, and I'm like, are you kidding? Now I had two guns because I later had children, and I wanted them to have pierced ears. So Dad goes to work, and I have this 3-month-old.
Oh my!
Up on a pillow, and she tells me to this day, if you hadn't done that while I was a baby, I never have done it.
Wow! And so you did it the right way?
Well, yeah. Of course, I laid her on the pillow and I went like this, and it was over. But my pediatrician was livid. But now he was Hispanic, and he said, but you're going to clean them, right? Because I know a lot of people who don't clean them. And I was like, no. I got all the training. Nope. Everybody went over that with me and turned them. So, and I did my second child also, but I didn't like the first one. One of them was a little off, I thought. So I took it out and put it in, and she's like, I have 2 holes. Well, I didn't like the first one, and it was supposed to close. But you have to go with what experience they've had and then make it better. There are really amazing groomers out there, like they're bad ones. And you just have to be there, and they have to be okay with you staying at least the first couple of times and saying, I need to know this is going to go well. Because with the breeds that are very, very necessary to groom just for their health, much less their look, you need to try them out. You need to get good reviews. Just because your best friend likes that groomer doesn't mean your dog will like that groomer. And make it a positive experience. Make it fun. You go to the park afterwards. You get an ice cream cone before. I don't know whatever's your dog's thing. You can stay there and talk to them because it's going to be just like you and I, children or otherwise, adults or otherwise. It could be a bad experience, and they'll live with that forever. And I can't tell you how many really tragic experiences where the infections and they didn't know they got clipped. And then 5 days later, the dog's got a fever and they're, on a heavy antibiotics. Sometimes the groomer doesn't know they clipped them. It's too far into the fur. So just
I can share something on that. I'm getting this picture again. My little iPhone, little sweetheart, went over here. I took them all to the groomer at the same time, and she had something right here on her, right under her lip, and so they called the groomer. This groomer was in a vet's office. They're actually side by side, I guess.
Right.
So they called. They're like, you have to get over here right away. Eiffel isn't doing well. So it turns out that whatever this thing was, it went in deeper, and the groomer had clipped it. And it turns out that it was cancer. And my poor little thing died right after that. So sad.
But
so
if you hadn't seen it, right? You hadn't seen it.
Right, I hadn't seen it, and so she didn't see it either, I guess.
Right. And the good part is, again, I'm a cup half full person, and that accident might probably gave you the chance to spend quality time. If there was no way to save the dog, which what all you're implying was it was already terminal, weren't you glad that you found out? Then
yes,
you got home one day and she was dead.
Definitely.
So,
my little
there is
sweetheart.
a lining to the cloud of going, oh my gosh. And that groomer learned something about, I'm going to have to even look harder. Because, I've got things, probably moles and things I don't know where they are.
Right.
He needs to. So I'm glad you had the time.
Well, thank you. It was kind of interesting when I had the 3 dogs for, they were all, I got them all from different groomers, breeders. Hello. And at the same time I got the dogs, 3 dogs at the same time, I decided to get a fish tank.
Oh, God.
Not just 1 fish tank, but then 3 fish tanks.
And you went tropical, didn't you?
And I did. I went saltwater. And then I think I might have told you this. Then I got 2 parakeets. Okay. I was living in an apartment. So
in a zoo apartment?
And clearly I needed some kind of help. And as it turns out, by the way, those fish are a lot of work. A lot of
salt. Do you know how many
the fish are a lot of money. Yes, and it's like a balancing act. So anyway, I had it together with the dogs. I had the fish tanks. Fish were fine. I have these parakeets, and they're in this cage. And at some point, I thought, well, I need to clean out this cage. And I didn't. At some point, let's say it was a week. Let's say it was a week.
Christmas. I'll give it a Christmas.
And I was terrified, by the way, of the parakeets. So I put on oven mitts. Right. I approached the cage, and there's newspaper there, whatever. So as I pulled this out, the birds flew out. Now they're flying all around the apartment. The dogs are running around. So what I ended up doing, wait till I tell you what I ended up doing. I shouldn't even be saying this on air. I ended up running into the closet with my 3 dogs and hiding there. And hiding there.
Tired of flying and pooping all over your house?
I was literally terrified. So I called a friend of mine who ended up coming over after like an hour, and was like, "What are you doing?" So I took the parakeets back to the pet store, one of the big ones, and I just said, "I'd like to donate these because I'm not a good person to have these." And the cashier, and the cashier ended up, the person taking the returns, she said, "You know what? I'd like to take them myself. I'll find out if it's okay." And I thought, okay, now they have a good home. And so that was that. And with the fish, they slowly started dying. And there's nothing worse than seeing upside down. And
when
so that was
floating the wrong direction. Yep, it's over.
Yeah, that was, so I'm sorry, fish. I'm sorry, parakeets. But the dogs, I was very good with them.
Thank goodness. There you go. They live. Yay.
They have very good lives.
Absolutely. So, yeah. And, we were going to talk cats and that kind of stuff. So we get those in, and you didn't have one of those. But I get asked all the time, and I just was thinking about it the other day, because when I got my daughter, who's in Spain's cat, she, of course, she's known me her whole life, but I don't live with her. And she's a cat. So she's very, I know you people, and they can smell the DNA. She comes and visits all the time. But it's just like, why are you here and bossing me around, or maybe thinking you can boss me around or something? So it took us time to get her, because I'm a snuggler. I want to go and, you're going to have a cat or a dog. You got to have, fur in your face. You got to have it on, you just got to. I don't care about how bad my hands are. I'm going to squish the cat. So we gave her lots of space to get used to us and that type of stuff. But today, she's been with us 2.5 years, is that, she knows I'm going to come up and squish her, and she's going to sit. She still won't sit on the chair with us, but she'll sit at the top of my lazy boy or on the arm of the lazy boy. And I'm like, okay, I got a fur muff. I don't care. I'm good with that. So cats are a very different situation than a dog. You've got that pack mentality. They want to be with you. You've got the horses, the herd mentality. And I really talk a lot about, and as an animal science major, it makes sense. I talk a lot about origin. A lot of people, here's your trivia, if I haven't said this before, cats domesticated themselves. Dogs, we domesticated. We saw how great they are working together in a pack. Native Americans used them. Indigenous people have used them. Just everybody who's really loved the earth and love of the world really incorporates nature into their day-to-day life. Not destroying it. No raid is ever used in their world and that type of stuff. But it's a harmonious relationship, and that pack mentality really works. The herd mentality, where cats are single livers. Of course, you can have other cats, but they're like me, myself, and I. And maybe you could come along if you bring food, or you pet really nice. My one daughter has these magic hands, and all the cats just, it's like, oh man, I'm staying all year. And I was like, I'm so jealous.
They're lining up.
and it's wonderful. But Ren is our kitty's name, and she's long hair, and oh my gosh, we have 2 long hairs. It's a lot of work. But what I encourage people is take time. A cat needs time to decide if you're worth it, truly. I mean, they're very independent. If I had a young girl helping me here in the house this last year, college girl, never been with a cat in her entire life. And luckily she wasn't afraid. She just didn't have a clue what to do. And I said, okay, when the cat closes their eyes gently. So let's say they're sitting across from you. So you and I are sitting across from each other. And I do this. I do a slow blink and a slow eye. This is a cat's gentle, I'm calm, I'm centered. It's a great time to lean over and pet them. It's a great time to introduce yourself to them. When I introduce myself to a dog or any of the carnivores, pretty much, I will offer my hand. Now, I will do this with a cat. And a cat will sniff a little bit and go, A dog will sniff you a lot because they're really checking who you are and what your DNA, what your smell is. You ate a lot of garlic that day. They can still smell your DNA through that and that kind of stuff. That's why animals, carnivores specifically, cats are considered strictly carnivore. Will they eat other things? Absolutely. Dogs are considered omnivores. They'll eat everything. You got a grape on the floor, I'm going to try it. If you got this on the floor, I'm going to try it. Cat might lick it, but genetically is what I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. So you can't handle an animal if you don't know its origin. If you don't know what its proclivity to do is. A cat will chase everything, a string, a ping pong ball, a piece. We wrap up, when we go to the store, we get receipts, the thermal paper. You just roll it up in a ball and go. Free toy anywhere. When we moved a couple years ago, we had under every single piece of furniture. It was, you can just never vacuum them all up. Because we would do it and throw it, and the cat would push it under the china cabinet or something. They're hilarious. But you need to know the difference in it. And when a cat gives you that soft eye, that is acquiescence. Yes, you can pet me, or yes, you can approach, or I'm comfortable and safe, but you need to go gently when you're first introducing yourself to a cat. And a dog, you would put your hand out and say, I'd like to pet you. This is a gesture of, may I? A horse would love that too. They'll sniff you and all that, and they'll go, okay, what do I do with that? And then
Yes.
you go down and pet the neck and that kind of stuff. Don't smack them on the rear. And stand behind them also and smack them on the rear, because there's a soft spot in the middle of their hind that causes that kick, causes that back kick. And people can actually elicit that, and they'll tap on that to get them to kick out. Don't do it.
It's not a good idea. Guess what? We have to wrap up. I'm looking at the time like, oh, we've got another, it keeps buzzing. I've got another show in 12 minutes. So I'm going to spotlight you. Your banner is running, but just let us know how to reach out to you. And what can we expect for the next few shows?
Oh my gosh. AJ is coming next Friday, and she is with Treehouse Tunes. I am so excited. I interviewed her a couple days ago, and she is an author, illustrator, a fabulous artist that writes and designs children's books, and all the profits go to the shelters. So she is very tied into the animal world, and we're just like sisters from another mother. It was just amazing. I can't wait for her to be on with us. And again, it's Treehouse Tunes. Look her up on the web. She has her books there, and they're really wonderful children's books, and she's the illustrator. So I can't wait to have her on and tell you about her trajectory and all that. So we're going to need a 2-hour show, but I think we'll get it in, because I'm hoping that she's going to come back every last Friday or on a regular basis, because she's got a lot to share with us, and her books are amazing.
Wonderful. Thank you. And the best way for people to reach you?
Bridging
Worlds.
.us. Everything about me you want to know is there. And Facebook is the exact same, Bridging Worlds. And all my bio, and even some videos from Dr. Jacalyn and Ours Time.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for being here, Aminah. I always learn so much from you. And as a result, I am letting everything live its life. And
absolutely. No running from the bees.
No. All right. Thank you again. Thanks, everybody. We'll be coming right back with stories of hope, inspiration, and overcoming adversity. So please do stay with us for our last show of the week. See you soon. Bye, Aminah.
Bye.
Bye.